Hello, it's Ozzy here, and I've got another list for you. This time it's the top 5 most overrated films of all time, and maybe a couple more. Possibly an exaggeration, but these are 5 films that just really piss me off because a lot of people celebrate them as if they're the greatest thing ever. And when you really look at them, if you wait a couple of years for time to pass, everyone forgets about them, and they are just those overrated films that piss you off, that really didn't deserve it at the time. And when anybody goes back and says, oh, that's a great film, isn't it? I'm always like, no, really look at it, look back on it, be objective. You were duped. Going on about the best Bond film ever made, a lot of people are saying Skyfall. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Skyfall by Sam Mendes? It's so boring. It's so slow. Like, you wonder why no one went and saw Spectre. It's because Skyfall was boring. Yes, Skyfall made a lot of money at the box office, and it just had great marketing behind it. And all those things where everyone's like, oh, it's 5 out of 5, it's the best Bond movie. It just got everyone early on. It sucker punched them. It was a time where you could do that and everyone would buy into it. Not so much now, but looking back, everyone's kind of regretting it. Skyfall is this meandering film with a kind of effeminate, maybe gay villain who's trying to be the Joker. It's got that old adage where he's like, oh, he wanted to be caught? We didn't know that. I saw it coming a mile away. James Bond, apparently he's old now. He's old again and going to try that storyline. It's just boring. I don't think the action is exceptional. They've tried too much to make it look good instead of play well. Skyfall's really boring. But Casino Royale, just do Casino Royale, Daniel Craig. That's the best Bond movie. That, GoldenEye, or On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Skyfall's a piece of shit. Now, I'm a big Martin Scorsese fan, like anybody, but I don't necessarily think he walks on water. And I think there's been a couple of issues. He's made a couple of bad films. Martin Scorsese can only do crime films. And that's Goodfellas, that's Casino, that's The Departed. They're his 3 best films. He's had some alright films in there like The King of Comedy, but The Wolf of Wall Street is definitely not one of his best films. It's definitely not one of the best films of recent time. It's got an electrifying performance by Leonardo DiCaprio, but it is a film about excess, and that's what you feel. And I know a lot of people go on about that. Oh, that's the point of the film, to feel the excess. This is what these people went through and what they experienced. But that does not necessarily make it a good film. Make it a great film, and it's definitely not a great film. It was really for the simple-minded. I saw this in a packed crowd, and I saw the people laughing at the jokes. I saw the people really enjoying it, and they are not role models of society, I'll say that. These are the thickheads. And if you enjoy it, well, maybe you're a thickhead. But I just have watched it a couple of times, and I'm bored through it. If I'm bored through a Scorsese film, if I'm not getting the point, if there's no morality of it, and if it's just kind of this mess of look how great money is and all that stuff, I'm just not learning anything. Yeah, it might be realistic in some cases, but as a film, it's not affecting me. It's not getting to me. There's a much better film that Leonardo DiCaprio starred in himself about money, about success, and about the price that you pay. It's called Catch Me If You Can. It's a great film. It's so much subtle in its delivery, and it's so much better. Scorsese, Wolf of Wall Street, is a mess. And it mainly comes down to the writing. I have to say the acting and the craft of it all, except for some CGI scenes, is really good. But the writing by Terence Winter, who did some Sopranos episodes, is bad. He didn't know where he was going. It's excessive. It doesn't have a point. It's way too long. And I get bored through it. So I'm sorry. The Wolf of Wall Street is an extremely overrated film. There's a film came out not long ago called The Greatest Sequel of All Time, possibly, and is Blade Runner 2049, starring Ryan Gosling. This is a film that, again, has great filmmaking craft. Great director behind it. Cinematography is amazing. The music is so cool. The acting's very good, but once again, the story just lets it down. Harrison Ford's in it, and I don't even know if he's necessary for the role. It's actually, when he pops up on screen, it kind of gets a little bit boring. And I don't know. There was a lot I liked about this film. And I've watched it a couple of times just because of the atmosphere, but it's just not a great film. It just doesn't get you all the way there. Look, it failed at the box office community, but critically it's regarded as one of those great films. But when you look back at these films and you kind of see that no one's talking about them, it's a great indicator. The Force Awakens, people still talk about that because it's a great film. It gave us a great feeling of Star Wars is back. You know, all the other films, not so much. Anyway, Blade Runner 2049, there's so much I did like about it, it just doesn't get there. It's to describe one scene, it's the threesome scene, and I don't feel it has any use in the film. I think it's purely there so that the filmmakers could kind of go, well, look what we're doing with technology and look what we can do. Yes, it looks good. It's like two females become one, like one's a holographic character and one's a human, and it's a lovemaking scene, and it looks good, it's interesting, but doesn't do anything to move the story forward. It's supposed to make you care about this other character, which I don't think it does. As soon as she exits the screen, you don't really care. And when it doesn't have that emotional involvement, you kind of just fall back and you look at your phone. I don't look at my phone, but I know the feeling. That's whenever you watch someone who's not a cinephile, who's not into films, and you see them looking at their phone, it's a good indicator. Because a film should grab you, it should hold you, it should shake your head, and always keep you invested. And I'm sorry, Blade Runner 2049 really isn't that great a film. Quentin Tarantino made possibly his best film in Inglourious Basterds. Love that film. Everybody loves that film. Everyone talks about Inglourious Basterds. That's a great film. There was a lot of excitement about his follow-up, which was Django Unchained. Now, Django Unchained is possibly Tarantino's, the film that's made him the most money, and people think that it's because Django Unchained is such a great film. No, it's because Inglourious Basterds came before it, and people were excited to see more of that. That they did not see in this film. That is in Django Unchained. They saw a boring lead character go through the second half of a film which just doesn't make sense and is just messy and no one cares. The only interesting parts of this film, Leonardo DiCaprio and Christoph Waltz. They are very interesting characters, especially when they're kind of coming into conflict with each other. As soon as they go, and spoilers, of course, throughout this whole video, the film stops. It completely stops. Any interest I had in it just went out the window. And I've tried to rewatch this film. I can't do it. It's too much of a mess, really. I know what he's going for, and I can't believe they gave him the Academy Award for Best Screenplay. It's really one of his worst. I hate Django Unchained. I really do. I can't believe Tarantino did it. It's his worst film. He said personally that Death Proof is his worst film, which is stupid because I think it's one of his best films. I would rate it behind Inglourious Basterds and Pulp Fiction. But yeah, Django Unchained, like Jamie Foxx, maybe Will Smith would have been better in the role, but Jamie Foxx, I just don't buy in that role. I found him quite boring and not believable. I don't think he does cool, quite frankly. I think he does the voice and he goes, yeah, I can do it like that. I just don't get behind it. Number 1, Mad Max Fury Road. This film came out and basically blew everyone's socks off. Everyone thought it was the greatest action film they've ever seen. With all this, production and non-CGI, they used actual stunts and actual, people flying over cars and cars destroying themselves. Oh, it's amazing. No, it's not. This is one of the most boring action films I've ever seen. This thing was riddled with problems on set. Tom Hardy hated Charlize Theron. They couldn't get this car to work. The place where they were going to film at became an oasis. It was all just problems after problems, but it came together in somewhat of a good film, but it's definitely not a great film. It's definitely not a great action film. In fact, it's a boring film. None of this, it's a big car chase. The first part of it's interesting, but you can't keep repeating the same action over and over and over again. I don't care if you put people on sticks and throw them around every now and then. It's the same plot. It didn't hold my attention for 2 minutes. I saw this in IMAX. I gave this film every chance I could. I've seen it 3 times trying to get on board with it. I really don't see why anyone likes this film. It is so overrated. Look, I love action films. I love every action film. I love stupid action films. This is supposed to be one of the greatest action films ever made. I mean, come on. You're kidding yourself if you think that. You're absolutely kidding yourself. Like, ask yourself, are you really looking forward to Fury Road 2 or Mad Max Fury Road? Do you really want to see it? Are you like, oh, I can't wait to it? Or is it just like, I'll see it? If it's the second option, then you really aren't that excited by this film. You're not thinking about it all the time. So whenever you hear someone, or if you even say yourself, oh, it was a great film, really, do you believe it? Do you want to watch it right now? Because if not, it's overrated.